morning. It is the Going On Daily Live morning show. I'm your host, Ron Rigo, and I've got Kyle Miller with me today. You were with Becky yesterday, and now you got me today. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's good. I love it. Good morning. What an awesome day.
It is an awesome day, and I'll tell you, we got a great show for you today. It's great when I see people's topics and then I can align mine, to do like the opposite of what they're doing. So,
Gotta
I
balance
had
me out a little bit here.
yeah, I had some doom and gloom, and I'm like, you know what? Let's change this up a little. And I decided to do one fluff piece and one I don't know if it's a great story or a good story, but it's it's animals. I like animals,
It's a
so
story, for sure.
it is a story.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it.
We got some a piece on gaslighting. I can't wait for this one. You find that a lot in gaming. Let me tell you,
Oh,
gaslighting. It's like you see it all the time in like chat and stuff like that. It's terrible.
Okay, very interesting.
And also some men and help.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I gotta say,
we're men on here and help.
yes, and it's like I could use it. Like I have that yellow tape around me all the time. So it's always a caution when I'm around. But today we're gonna see if we can help some people, right?
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 123, Men at Work is the name of the show today. So now, and I don't normally put it up front like that, but that's why it's called Men at Work, because we're going to try to, help some people. Look, this is going to be fun. It's always a great show. And let us tell you where you can find us. If you are watching, then you are watching on one of these 3, hopefully 4. I'm hoping it's going live on Rumble today. I'm trying to fix the settings. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I'm trying to fix the settings on that so that way we can go live on Rumble. But you are watching us on Kick and YouTube at Rhode Island Broadcasting. And if you're on YouTube, click that little bell so you always know when we go live. And we got a bunch of people watching right now, so this is great. Throw those comments down, be part of the show. You're also watching us on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. So throw out some bits and subscribe. That all helps support the show. It all helps. You can also watch us and listen to us after the show airs live. You can go to these fine places to watch the show as well. I was putting the video up on Spotify, and I'm not sure that was really a wise thing. So I decided to change the Spotify to do audio only, along with Red Circle and TuneIn. You can watch us. And I believe Podcast Addict.
Oh. So, yeah, I know that one.
You can watch the show later on, of course, on Where We're Live, and U42 and Odyssey as well. So you can watch us there as well. So get all over that and support everywhere. Especially Red Circle, because Red Circle, you can do donations. So, and to keep these guys happy, all these hosts, that would be awesome. You follow us on all our social media, MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Space Hey, and of course, Patreon, where you can actually go get a mug like this. Today, Kyle, this is why I need help. Right?
I need one of those mugs. I love my mugs, but
yeah. So today I tried to open up my orange juice and I couldn't do it. I'm a little tired, right? A little tired and worn out.
Gotta have the coffee.
So I had to get the chocolate milk instead. So,
okay. Yeah, I go straight for the coffee. straight for the coffee.
Yeah, I can't. I don't really like to make coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It took me
Hey,
a
have you
while, but
tried that mushroom coffee thing?
I have tried some of the mushroom coffee. Yeah. And it's okay, but I just I mean, once I got to, especially good coffee, and I'm kind of a coffee snob. So I make my own fresh ground every morning, and French press. French press is what I use. I know there's other things and whatever, but French press is easy, and then I can put it in my thermos and have hot coffee all day. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
aren't you in Texas where it's like 150?
No, no, I'm in Idaho where it's
Oh, Idaho. Oh,
still
it's
it's
Chuck. That's
still
it. I get
yeah,
you guys mixed up with where
yeah,
you are.
yeah. No, and it's still warm. It wasn't I mean it's not super hot. But I want to say it's like probably 75 degrees outside right now
Oh,
this
that's
morning,
nice. That's not
which
bad.
yeah, yeah. I don't think it's supposed to be super hot today, but it didn't cool off last night, which was kind of disappointing. But the weather decides whatever it is that it's going to do.
Yeah, you just gotta. There's so many people that are emotionally attached to the weather,
Hmm.
and you really can't be. I mean, especially up here in New England, because you never know what you're going to get up here,
Yeah.
and it changes by the hour. It
Yep.
seems.
Yeah.
So
It's
you
always
just
it's
gotta
always
you
gonna be
just gotta
different.
kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
You see, you have to have a plan for different weather, right?
Hmm.
If you have a day off, say you're every Monday, say you have off.
Hmm.
Oh, you're not working. You have to have a plan A and plan B.
Hmm.
So plan A if it's nice, plan B if it's not so nice. So like if
Yeah.
it's plan A and say, oh, it's like 120 degrees. Okay, let's go
Mm.
to a movie because, it'll be air conditioned and nice, right?
Yep. Yep.
But if it's nice out, you go to one of the, go to a nice national park, say, and
Hmm.
you go hiking or something like that. If it's nice out.
Hmm.
I mean, so you
Yeah.
have to have plan A and plan B. So you can't be tied up. I was like, oh my God, it's raining out. And then you're miserable all day. You can't
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
there's a piece of advice from me for today. That's the piece of advice. We'll get the real help later on. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. Um, Gaslighting.
Yeah.
So
Gaslighting. Ooh,
tell us about
this is
this.
good. I like this graphic you have.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like looking for the
Blame
perfect
others for their
graphic, and
behavior.
I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you know what? This
Yeah.
will this will actually be fitting.
Yep. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of confusion about gaslighting. A lot of people want to throw that around that everyone is gaslighting them, and this person is gaslighting them, and a lot of that is not actually accurate. There are a lot of people that lie about things, or white lies, or
Yeah,
little untruths, we'll say. But those things are not gaslighting. Gaslighting is the next level when the lies are set in a way, structured in a way, set up to make us question our own reality, to question ourselves, to ask if we're crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe
yeah,
maybe I don't remember. So it's not just the lie. It's everything that's added on and with the lie that actually makes it gaslighting. And I couldn't tell you actually if there's a technical term because I didn't actually look that up this morning, and it's not something that I focus on because really lying is not gaslighting, even though gaslighting uses lying.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's like a fine line with everything, right?
mhm,
And this is
yeah,
one of those things that, you have to have all the factors in there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you and actually gaslighting comes from there's an old movie called I think it's called Gaslight, and basically what happened in the movie is that this guy was and I think it was a husband, but he kept turning down the lights, and there were gas lights at that point, and so he would turn down the light just a little bit, and then the woman was like, did you just turn those down? Oh no, I didn't turn those down. I don't know what happened. Did you turn them down? And that's kind of where it becomes. So she was over time feeling like she was crazy. What's going on here? He
Yeah.
said he didn't turn these down. He turned them down, and then he turned it back on her, to whatever extent, however many times, so that
Yeah.
she then going, did I bump it? Is there something that I did here?
Second
Where
guessing yourself.
yeah, questioning your own reality, which is really what gaslighting really is. And a lot of people do, I'm curious to hear your experience with the gaming, because that's not something that
Yeah,
I've
because
been in.
when I do a lot of, I used to do a lot of video game events,
Okay.
and you get a lot of that kind of behavior in these tournaments, and it's like, I don't know if they do it on purpose just to
Mm-hmm.
get somebody to maybe fail against them as they compete,
Mm,
or if it's just like an ego thing, when they're trying to make everybody else like feel like below them.
mm,
And you have a lot of this kind of behavior
mm-hmm,
inside this gaming, you know, community, and it's kind of sad though, but because like
mm-hmm,
everybody seems to be like trying to outdo the other person
mm-hmm.
and making them basically feel like lesser of a person,
So
and it happens
probably a
quite
lot of
often.
the lack of accountability too, which makes it easier to push everything off on them, um, and make it your fault, and then they have to double down,
Yeah,
which is kind of where the gaslighting comes in. No, I wasn't over there. I didn't do that thing, and
yeah,
and then
because it's like a bunch of it's like being in high school, and
yeah.
and and to be honest, most of them are high school
Mm,
kids.
mm,
So it's only behavior that just gets worse as they get older,
hmm. Well,
and
or better, hopefully it gets better.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But to me, when you see them, they're there in high school, okay, you see that behavior, and then they go to college, but when they do the tournaments, it's still the same thing.
Hmm.
And it's not getting any better. And we keep talking about this this kind of disconnect between one generation and another. And
Mm.
it seems like the next generation always comes up and it is less evolved. It
Well,
feels. I'm not sure it is that way, but
yeah, yeah,
that's the
yeah.
disconnect.
I think there's a lot of blame and shame that goes around, in all of those things, and everyone of the older generation all the way through history, so as they get older generation, it's like, oh, those young kids, and all of the thing, and then at the same time, can you help me with my phone technology, whatever whatever it is, which it's not helpful on either side. um,
No.
and just the aspect of, respect your elders, which is so much that so many of us were raised with, and
Yeah.
there's an aspect perhaps of that, but it's not really helpful, because there's a lot of people that do not deserve and have not earned the respect, and respect is a huge thing that I think about, especially with my coaching business. And I'm like, no one deserves the respect that they haven't earned. And
Absolutely.
and so yeah, I think us, taking the time to acknowledge, which is a lot of with the teenagers. I think, they don't get acknowledged, and you don't know anything, and you're young and whatever, and there is truth in that for sure.
Yeah,
But
they
there's
don't have the
there's
life
also
experience.
Yeah, yeah, they don't have the life experience, but there's a lot of things that they know intuitively because of the way that they were raised, and
Yeah.
it's always the same, the same scenario, but we don't want to have that conversation. We'd rather argue and blame and shame everyone about
Yeah,
it.
and isn't that kind of like a twisted kind of gaslighting in itself?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, and us not being willing to have the actual conversation. What are the actual
Yeah.
problems? Are oh they're all lazy and they don't want to work, and
Yeah,
all of
we
the
know
things
that's
that
not
are
true.
said. Yeah, it's not true. Yeah, and they're probably a lot smarter in a lot of ways, because no, I don't want to go and grind myself to the bone for someone that doesn't care about me, and I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, you know, that disconnect is really a thing that needs to be, shrunk.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think it is more along the lines of an understanding of, you know, first of all, they don't have that life experience.
Mhm.
So, of course, it's going to be a disconnect there. And of course, they're not going to know a lot of things that you know because of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we just are a little more understandable, then,
Mhm.
you know, how about teaching
So
them?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes
If,
the
if they
big
don't have that,
pushback is it's and
yeah,
it is on both sides, where well, I don't understand what this is, and this is literally on both sides. But instead of us actually having the conversation, and we don't want to say we don't understand, well, and going into the men thing, we definitely don't want to say that we don't understand, or that we don't know, because we've got to be men, and we have to have everything figured out, and we have to know everything, and I don't think it's helpful. I think,
yeah,
let's have the conversation.
I
What is
know.
it that you don't understand? How can I help? And if you don't
Yeah,
understand that, then maybe I didn't articulate that very well.
yeah.
So maybe that's on me.
Yeah. Good morning, Becky. Nice of you to join us.
Good morning.
Look, I tell you, you're trained to think a certain way,
Mhm, mhm,
and I know, and this is the great thing about working with all those kids doing those gaming
mhm,
tournaments, right?
mhm.
I became a little more understanding
Mm,
of the things that they go through,
mhm.
as
Yep.
well as, just understanding how they think and live their lives and stuff. And I think if more people can just accept that,
Mhm.
maybe we don't know it all, and
Yeah.
maybe our experiences are different from what they're going through, and
Yep.
it could be a lot smoother. Now, with all that being said, how do we go about changing this gaslighting thing? Like, can you really change somebody from doing those particular things?
No,
I mean, is it
no,
possible?
we're not changing anybody, which I think is one of the biggest problems with everything going on. How can I get them to not do this anymore? And the reality is the only thing that we can really do in most of those situations is to say something about it. But most of the time, it's not a constructive conversation. And so if we say, hey, that was this is and pointing it out as gaslighting almost usually always leads into a fight about it, and then
Yeah,
you end up fighting about the fact that you said gaslighting, rather than fighting about what the actual problem was. Is you lied about this, and then you denied it, and then you blamed me for it, or however that situation went. And
Yeah,
so I
I
think,
mean, this really does describe a lot of the things that we're talking about.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a pattern, right?
Yep. Yep.
And and I gotta think it's like it's a behavior pattern. So
Hmm.
you start with the lying, and then you
Hmm.
move on to the next thing, and then the next thing.
Yep.
And if it becomes gratifying, then you're training yourself to do it more.
Well, and it becomes normal, and it becomes a way to, to avoid accountability in a lot of ways. And I think, just having the conversation, but most people are not equipped. I mean, what we use as a society is shame and judgment. And shame and judgment is just, I, I mean, pretty much almost never helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are occasions when that is helpful for the moment, but is never helpful long term. And so having the actual conversation about what's actually going on, and there will be the some of the people that are willing to have that conversation with you, and then there will be many of the rest who are simply unwilling. They're unwilling to back down,
Yeah.
and have the conversation, own any of it, discuss what the actual issue is. um, just a lot of, a lot of honesty, and we have to be honest with ourselves first before we can be honest with someone else.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, when it comes down to it, um, people tend to discuss it maybe not with the person they need to, but with other people.
Hmm.
And it'll be like you're listening to somebody say something to you, or, doing whatever they do. And then you kind of like not address it. And
Hmm.
then you go to, maybe co-friends or
Hmm.
in that group of people
Yeah.
and then you start talking about them behind their back, and that just
Mhm.
compiles it and makes it worse.
Well, and I think that is really, it's a really helpful thing, and this is a really good distinction, because I think a lot of people, they go to, and I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of people go to someone else to, basically unload all of this so that they can
Right.
understand it. Now that's very different. People talk about trauma dumping, and I think that a lot of people want to trauma dump, and this is kind of the same situation, sort of, where there are people that really want to understand what happened and what's going on and get clarity, and so they unload all of that, and then what it actually turns into is more of a bitch session about whatever is happening, rather
Yeah.
than something that's actually constructive. And so I think going to someone else to have a conversation about this, so that I can gain some clarity. This isn't a blame. This isn't to talk about how awful this other person is. I
Right.
I'm not understanding what's going on, what's happening here. So, but there are
But
less
it's
people. There are less
usually
people.
the opposite, and it's more
Yeah,
like a complaint session.
yeah, and with both sides, because you have to find somebody that you can actually have that conversation with, that will help you
Yeah.
out and not lead right into, that, oh, this person's
Right.
awful and terrible, and you just need to, get
Yeah.
them out of your life, or, don't talk to them, or whatever, which might be the truth, but we need to gain clarity on that before,
Yeah.
and
Talking
then go
about it
back.
is right. The way you're
Yeah.
doing it, it
Yes.
matters.
Yeah, it really matters. Yeah, it's a big deal, and finding the people that you can have those conversations with.
But you still do need to have the conversation with the person.
Yep.
And if
Or
look,
try.
if they
Or
don't
try.
want to listen to it,
Yeah.
that's on them. At least you can clear your conscience,
and
and
and that's an
at least
answer.
you made the attempt.
Yeah, and that's usually an answer for you, if you have tried to have this conversation with them, to get clarity, to get understanding, to see where they're coming from, all of those things, and that person is unwilling to do any of that with you. Then that's a pretty good answer that they are, whether or not they're completely, completely aware or consciously aware of it, they
Right.
are gaslighting you on purpose, and
Yeah.
and that is not a person that I want in my life anyway.
Right. Exactly. And this is what conversation can do. And
Hmm.
look, if you want to put up with it, that's on yourself. And then that might mean that maybe you do have some issues with whatever it may be, right?
Hmm.
And whether it's self-worth or whatever.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if you choose not to put up with it, then that's probably the right thing to do, but you must have the conversation.
Hmm.
At least give that person a chance.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. You got to give them the opportunity to fix whatever it is. And if they don't want to take that, if they go into
Mhm,
complete denial and,
mhm.
the whole bit, then you can distance yourself from them and feel better about, how you went about and did it.
Yeah, and I do have to say that it's, even though it's that simple, it's not always that simple,
No,
because
it's never that
everybody
simple.
everybody has all of the complications of relationships, and especially if this is a romantic partner, if that which leads into all kinds of toxic things going on. It's Everyone wants to say that it's very simple and you just leave them, and it's never that simple, because that's probably an abusive situation, relationship,
Yeah,
and that's lots of compassion for that, because no one can tell you what it is that you need to do or
yeah,
should do, or in I mean, every situation is going to be different. So
yeah,
I focus a lot on, because yes, you don't want to have to deal with it, and you shouldn't have to deal with it, but at the very same time, I understand the people that are going through that don't really have a lot of options, and they kind of have to deal with it until they can figure out what to do. So no, no shame on wherever you're at on that. Obviously, if you can get away, distance yourself, remove that person from your life, that's better.
yeah,
But it's not always that
yeah.
simple.
Yeah, when you find people that that click and get each
Hmm.
other, it's so much easier, and you'll know it
Hmm.
when that happens,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you'll know when you are in tune with somebody else,
Hmm.
and those are good relationships to be with it, whether it's
Yeah.
friends or lovers or family,
Hmm.
whatever it may be.
Yep.
It's still based on those interactions that you
Hmm.
have, and if it feels right, you know chances are then it is. You
Hmm.
just, to get
Yeah.
along with people, you just
Yeah.
know.
Lots of intuition and understanding,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. All right, we got to move on. We
Okay.
could talk about this
Yeah.
forever. I probably have a million things that are coming into my head that I
Yeah.
that I could say, but I got to move on, right? Got to
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Season
Absolutely.
2, episode 123, Men at Work, and I feel like we've already done some of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's go. Caught on camera.
Mm.
Um, Look, I just love animal stories, and this little guy here, a Sierra Nevada red fox. This picture was taken in Yosemite Park. But the one in question we're talking about was caught on camera, video camera, in Lassen Volcanic National Park. Um, so wildlife photographer Randy Robbins, boy, if that doesn't sound like a children's book character, I
Hmm.
don't know what is,
Randy
right?
Robbins.
Randy Robbins,
Hmm.
wildlife photographer, noticed on a camera. Now it's a video camera. I guess it's one of those cameras they put in the forest
Oh, trail
for
cam. Yep.
a trail cam. Right. Thank
Yep.
you. Couldn't think of the name.
Yeah.
So when something goes into the camera, it turns on and it starts recording. So he was looking over footage from a camera from this volcanic national park, Lassen Volcanic National Park. And the footage goes back to November or December of last year. And it caught a Sierra Nevada red fox, there, with its thick coat and lots of dense fur, and it's very rare because there's less than 100 left in the wild.
Oh, wow.
Less than 100. And these animals are beautiful. I love foxes because they're beautiful animals.
Yeah.
And so it was a very big moment for this photographer to capture that because it doesn't happen very often. I don't know when this picture was taken, but it's been in circulation for several years. So having one getting, on film, and I wish I had the video footage. Believe me, I wish. I looked for it and I couldn't find it. I don't think it was released to the public is the problem.
Oh,
So, and to be honest, they just found it because they had to look hours and hours and hours of camera footage. And I'm guessing that, they put these things all over the place and they go and it takes them a long time to sort through all these cameras. And they might take months before they even get the camera. So it just came out.
I can't imagine. That's a lot of. I've gone through camera footage like from outside cameras, trying to find a particular car or something that that happened. Oh, it's awful.
It's monotonous because it's only a split second, and you got to really pay attention.
Yep.
So they did catch one on camera. So that is very comforting to see that they are still out there. They got to do something to save these. I mean, less than 100.
1 in 100. 1 in 100 right there. That's exciting.
That's amazing. So, a little fluff piece of animals. I love doing the animal stories. I mean, we've done so many. And I mean, I'm looking at this picture and I'm like, why are people like eliminating these things? I just don't understand it. And I know, everybody wants the fur and whatever. It's still petty. It's still petty to me. I knew we were going to have a long talk about the subjects that you brought, so I didn't want to put something too much in there. And I just wanted to talk about the fox.
Yeah,
I really did.
I love it.
Like I could have done something else, like microplastics that I had another story for, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do microplastics.
That's that's a whole loaded story there too.
Yeah, that is. I've done one on it already, and like people's brains have like a teaspoon of microplastics in it, which is scary.
That's
very scary.
I can probably feel that.
Becky says she saw a fox the other day while driving down a small rural road. I stopped my car and opened my windows and tried to call it over.
Yeah,
she does.
They look friend shaped. I mean, they definitely look friend shaped. Like a cuddly little little puppy dog.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that will take your fingers off.
I mean. I remember seeing a fox come to where I used to work, about 13, 14 years ago. Every morning it would be there. Every morning, and it would come by the windows and, and I'd see it run right by the building and by a railroad track.
Looking for breakfast.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. I love it. I got to see a deer like 15 feet away from me. Like what, 3 weeks ago? I think it was it my
Mm.
birthday? I think it was my birthday.
Oh,
and and it was literally 15 feet away, and it's just eating and then looking at me, and then eating and looking at me.
yeah,
It's nice. I love to see the animals. I love to see it. Bear, not so much. I don't care if I see a bear up close.
yeah.
you know, yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
different.
maybe I'm like maybe in a vehicle, but I've seen those videos too,
Yeah,
and
those don't
yeah,
end well a lot of
I'm
times.
I'm like I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, the little cuddly ones, okay, I can deal with that as
yeah,
long as they're
yeah,
not rabid.
yeah. Yeah, none of
And
that
you'll
either.
know if it's rabid or not.
Yeah,
Because it will make a beeline right for you.
very, very awkward situation for sure.
Yeah, so that's my little fluff piece on the Sierra Nevada fox, the red fox.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. So that leaves us plenty of time to go into this next topic. Men and help.
Men and help.
So I get
Yeah,
the one guy
yeah,
consoling another
yeah.
guy, and you can't look. Men don't like showing feelings.
Hmm. Yeah.
But if somebody is clearly not right,
Hmm.
look, you need to be secure enough in your manhood that you can console somebody. I mean,
I
really.
think I think well, and I think that's we look at this as a separate thing. Secure in your manhood, but it's secure in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's because this whole thing back and forth, men and women, and I speak to a lot of women that don't really want to do the work either. Um, but it's very hard, I think, for men, especially because if you're vulnerable, if you show your
Yeah.
emotions, if you talk about that, the men are going to think that you're weird, and also so are many of the women.
Yeah.
And not always, it's never there's never a blanket statement as far as any of this goes,
No.
which is a big part of the problem, because we want to look at this as, well, all men are this way, or all women are this way, and it is just not the case. I mean,
Right.
I'll call it out as most people are not nearly as in touch with their emotions and understanding and open and available and all of those things,
Yeah.
than they may pretend or think or say, and it's across the board. But with men, there's so much more that is trained into it. And one of the interesting things, which I have found incredibly interesting, is that little boys actually are very in tune with their emotions until it is beaten out of them because it's not okay. It's okay for the little
Sad
girl
what
to
we do.
cry, but for
It's
the
sad what we do as a
yeah.
society. It
Oh,
really is.
oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. But it's okay for the little girl to cry, but it's
Yeah.
not okay for the little boy to cry. He needs to toughen up and thicker skin and all of those things. And none of this is even helpful remotely.
No.
And I think that's one of the big problems that we run into, with the help, is that we're, as Ben, we are trained, and programmed from a really early point that all of the emotions are not okay, and that we need to be tough, and you don't cry, or I'll give you something to cry about, even worse.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
I've heard that one a million times.
yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I notice with, because I coach both men and women, and a lot of the men that come to me for help and ask for help and want help will not actually ever get on a call with me and talk with me, to actually get help. I mean, a free call, let's have a conversation, see whether or not we work together or not, and and most men are not willing to even come on that call, even after they have come to me for help and asked
Yeah.
for help and wanted help, and they still won't get on a call and have a conversation. Which,
Yeah.
and I don't have judgment about this, but it's something that I notice. Much more likely if a woman comes to me and she wants help and asks for help, then usually she will get on a call. Now she may not work with me, because I'm a man, and I totally understand, that whole dynamic, because probably most of the time, she is dealing with issues with a man, so she
Amen.
doesn't know if she wants to talk to another man about it, and I totally get that.
And
But
that is something in itself, you know, uh, you know, uh, I don't know the quite word for it, but is, you know, you want to get the understanding from another woman,
mhm,
and go through those parts of
mhm,
it, but at the same time, getting the perspective from a man
mhm.
could be just as helpful, if not more.
Yeah, and I think
I
just
mean,
having,
depending on the situation,
yeah,
of course, it all
yeah,
depends on all of that.
yeah.
But I,
Well,
it's
and
a
I think the safety, the safety aspect, which
yeah,
which is, we talked about trust earlier, and feeling safe with talking with someone else, which most men, I mean, we have all of the red flags and all of the reasons for the red flags for us to not talk about any of that stuff with anyone,
yeah,
because who is the, and if you ask a man, who is it that you could talk to about, any emotional situation or thing that's going on, and actually have a conversation about it. And I'm guessing that a lot of men, maybe most men, I don't want to assume too much here, but they don't have someone that they can talk to about it. And if they do, I think it's much more likely that they have a woman that they can talk to about it rather than a man. And it becomes a lot more complicated if they're married, and the woman that they can't talk to about it is their wife.
yeah.
So if they can't talk to, you can't talk to other women, if you're married. I mean, not that I believe that that's true or accurate or the way that it should be, but in a
It's
lot of
just
relationships,
perceptions, right?
yeah, and in a lot of relationships, you can't have you can't
Yeah,
have friends as other women, women as other friends. And so who do you talk to? I mean, now I got to find a guy that I can talk to about this thing that I can't seem to really talk to my wife much about. It
right.
becomes a nightmare situation then.
And then it just gets put on the back burner
Mhm.
and stuffed down.
Yep. Yep. Bury it. Why are you working 90 hours a week? Well, I got to do something because I can't talk about the way that I feel about
Right.
all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that uh, it's got to be up around 90% of men that are like this. It's got
Yeah,
to
I
be.
don't know what the percentage, but it is, yeah, it's high, and there are some, and I think, we're starting to sort of kind of address
Yeah.
this situation, but it's still not, and I think a lot of the other people, they're not ready for that either, which doesn't help, and I think even a lot of the well-meaning people, they are, oh, I gotta finish this thought so I don't lose it. But I think even a lot of well-meaning people, when a man opens up and is vulnerable and they talk about whatever situation it is that they're going through, then the other people, even if they're well-meaning, are kind of deer in the headlights. Like, oh, I never expected that you would talk about this, or and so they don't really know what to do, which then reinforces that shame and judgment, because even
Yeah.
if they don't have a negative response necessarily to the man when he talks about whatever the situation is, then that response of ugh, whoa, I don't know what to say here. That
Right.
is
That
it's like
is that might be worse.
I shouldn't have shared that because now who knows what they're going to think of me, and
There's something wrong with me.
they're gonna judge me. There's something wrong with me. Yeah, yeah. It's a
So
hard. Yeah.
So Becky says my ex-husband had a close friend that was a woman after his sister died. I think he was trying to fill a void, but it didn't
Mhm,
end up well for them. You literally
mhm,
cannot be friends with the opposite sex in that capacity as a married man.
hmm,
So,
hmm.
and that in itself makes it very difficult because then there's always that question, right?
Yeah.
You know, is there something going on?
Well, and it's an interesting thought, and I've thought so much about this, this whole conversation, and I'm not necessarily sitting on one side or the other, but I think they're I think I'm much more open to the possibility of having women as friends. Now, you have to have a lot of guardrails. You have to be a healthy person. They have to be a healthy person. If you're married and then you have women that are friends also, there's just there's a lot of it depends. I think in a lot of this, and I don't know. I'm not ready to close the door on that and say no, that can't happen. But at the same time, I see so many issues that can come up from that.
It
Um,
does because I have a very close friend, probably my best friend,
mhm,
female. Shout out to Lisette, by the way. Um, and it does complicate things without intending that, right?
mhm,
So it has affected other relationships that I've
mhm,
had, and I've known this person like 20 years. So it and it does affect, when
mhm,
you do have somebody that's steady in your life,
mhm,
um and then the intent is to actually have them meet, say,
mhm,
and then the question from there always, so nothing's going on between you two,
mhm. Are you interested in this
and then
person?
that's it.
And how do I believe if you're not
Yeah, but
interested in this person?
once that question comes
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
it's pretty much over after that,
yeah.
because then there's never that trust.
Mhm,
And once you lose the trust,
mhm.
it's it. You
Yeah,
don't have a foundation.
yeah.
And that's the tough part about having opposite sex friends. It does
Mhm.
come into play at some point. And I want to say hi, Danny. Thank you for being here.
Uh,
Good morning. It's there's so many things that can affect
mhm.
different relationships, and that is a big one. That is
Yeah.
a big one,
Yeah,
and I
I
don't know
love
if we'll ever solve it.
Becky had added a couple of comments there, and um, good morning, Danny. Um, so oh yeah, there we go. Yep. In that capacity, theirs was not. Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah, very much. And if you're looking for female friends when you're married,
It's not a
it,
good thing.
yeah, I think it's a very different situation to
Yeah,
make new friends while you're married than to be looking for, especially looking for female
right,
friends. That
right. You
doesn't
can't,
that all sounds bad.
because it's, first of all, it's kind of a
Yeah,
slap in the face to your wife,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
and you shouldn't
I
do
want to
that.
be best friends. If I'm married, that's my best friend. That's who I want to be my best friend anyway. You know, but yeah, and that
So
was
this
what you
friend
said.
was
This
made
friend was.
after we were married. It's different when it's a
Mhm.
friend before you meet your spouse.
Yep,
Yes, it
yep,
absolutely is different. It is
yep.
different. And, and that's what I said about as soon as that question comes into play, doesn't matter where in the relationship it is, the trust is gone immediately
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they will never trust you because of that. If they raise the question, then they don't trust. And that's
Well, and
that.
and I think what makes it worse usually is that we don't want to have these conversations,
Yeah.
and a lot of that comes back to what we were talking about with guys being vulnerable, and I mean, we have to be vulnerable enough to have the conversation, but it also has
Yeah.
to be with someone that is safe enough for us to, we have to feel safe when we say whatever it is. um,
And when is that, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's what we're really talking about here.
yeah.
Guys just can't seem to open up because
Mhm.
they're afraid of being ridiculed or
Yep,
judged or whatever it
yep,
may be. And that
yeah,
stigma that's been on us since what, 2, 3 years old?
yeah. I mean, if not younger, yeah, yeah. Look
Yeah,
at look at the look at this tough, my tough baby boy, and they fall down. Oh, he's not crying already. And yes, I agree with you. It's not just guys. Um, but I think, as a guy that has been fairly sensitive for most of my life, I have been the odd man out. I've been much more likely. I've had so many more female friends than I
yeah,
have guy friends, and I love my guy friends, and they've been, they were kind of the few that were like, oh, he's not, I mean, he's weird, but he's not he's not weird because he's open and vulnerable.
right.
um, which most of the time it's been the women that were okay with me being that way.
Yeah.
That's how you get
Yeah,
friend zones
because
too.
they I don't know, they just feel better that you can be open about it.
Yeah.
And you know, that right there tells them that, oh, he's trustworthy. If he can open
Hmm.
up about this and that, then that makes a difference. It makes a difference. And we keep going on like this, and it all comes back down to your relationships. And if it
Yeah.
if there's that thing,
Yeah.
between two people, that's what that's what
Hmm.
matters. And you got to find people that are like that in
Yeah.
your life, because if you
Yeah.
don't, I mean, you're just a zombie, really.
It's lonely. It's lonely for sure. Becky commented again. I have one parent who was able to be vulnerable, and one who was the opposite. I lean to not being able to be vulnerable, and I repress and then explode. My friends are more emotionally open than I think. I think that's a regular thing with a lot of people, and
Yeah, I'm like
and
that.
it's
I'm
hard.
not gonna.
Yeah, it's hard to work yourself out of that, because it, even as open as I feel like I have been, it has been so much work for me
Yeah,
to really be open, and to let go of all of the cares about what everyone else thinks. That has been very, very difficult for me to work through, and I'll say I'm in a really good place at this point in my life,
yeah,
where I just open up, and I know, that it's okay. Everybody gets to have their judgment about
yeah.
whatever they think about what I say and do.
It's also a learned behavior too. My ex was a gaslighter, so I I learned to hold in my stress, insecurity, anger. Uh, you are not alone. There are so many people
Yeah,
that do this. And Kyle, like I said, we could go on for hours and hours
yeah,
about these issues.
yeah. This is
And
days long conversation for sure.
yeah, it's really, it's society. This is
Mhm.
what society dictates,
Mhm.
and you have to conform. And when you don't conform, you
Mhm.
get ridiculed or,
Shamed and judged. Yep. Shamed
yes.
and judged. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just not right. It's not
Yeah.
right. And, you know, look, one person can make a difference. You just got to find that person in your life that can make that
Yeah.
difference. And
Yeah.
that means everything,
And
you
I
know?
think the one thing that I really wanted to say is that with really good, safe people, people that you can trust that are willing to be there for you, those people are willing to be there, even no matter the trust, no matter whatever it is that you have to go through,
Yep.
and with the really good people, they expect in a lot of ways. I mean, I expect that people don't trust me until I've earned that trust, and
Right.
I want them to be that way. You shouldn't trust me until I have earned it. And I think, we a lot of what we have to do is um, sift through all of the other people to find the good ones.
Wait a minute. I think I just got insulted.
I'm not sure if she was talking about.
I'm looking at this and like, oh, it's nice to have an emotionally mature host now. And I'm like, oh yeah, he really. Wait a minute. That means I'm not.
I mean, maybe she was
Katie,
talking about you.
Katie.
She's like, I don't know. He's an emotionally mature host.
Oh gosh, no,
Uh,
no.
you never know. I
Is
mean, I could be the immature one. I mean, I'm definitely
it
the
is
immature
it
one for
is
sure. But
very nice to have these kind of conversations on the show. It really is.
yeah.
You know, I'm all about, the fluff pieces that I do and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but it is nice to talk about these things. And, it's nice to know that somewhere there is a therapy group that is waiting to dissect me.
No
So,
no counseling. I just want to be totally clear on that. No counseling. I'm a coach. I don't do
yes, I'm
counseling.
just saying, there are
Yeah.
a bunch of therapists waiting to like, oh, can we get him into a study session and really pick apart his brain?
Uh,
There's not much to pick apart, let me tell you. Let me
like,
tell you.
can you, I mean, okay, pick it apart, but can you help me out here a little bit? Can you throw me a bone and help me work through
Yeah,
some of this stuff?
exactly.
Yeah.
Or at
Yeah.
least follow the show.
Yeah. Yeah,
At least follow the
absolutely.
show.
Yeah, watch the
So,
show.
Kyle, let us know where people can find you and if they do need a coach.
Yeah, so KyleMillerCoaching.com is that's the easiest. You can schedule a free call with me and talk with me there. I'm Kyle Miller Coaching on pretty much every single different social media platform, and happy to talk with anybody. It's my mission is for no one to ever feel alone or hopeless especially when they've gone through abusive relationships. And so don't ever hesitate in reaching out, whether or not you can afford me, or you want to work with me, or whatever. I respond to all of the messages that I can, and just want to make sure that everybody has somebody that they can reach out to.
Very good. Very good. Look, Becky, I do more than bring movies to the table. I do more than that. I also bring TV. TV cancellations.
Oh, those are heartbreaking. I mean, when you find a good, and I'm picky. I am so picky. I do
I,
not.
I agree
Ooh.
100%. Every time I really like a show, it seems to get canceled.
Hmm.
So I try not to divulge what I like anymore.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to say it out loud because then they're going to cancel it. That's brutal.
Well, it might
Yeah.
be on this list. This
Oh,
is a
yeah.
this is a pretty good one. So CW canceled All American after 8 seasons.
Hmm. I don't know that one.
8 seasons, good run. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. 8 seasons is pretty good.
this one may hurt some people Disney canceled Andor after season 2.
Hmm.
Done.
I don't know that one either.
It's a Star Wars thing.
Okay.
MGM canceled one of my shows, Billy the Kid. After it is going to air its final season coming soon. So season 3 will be coming really soon to MGM, and that will be the last. So, which to me makes sense because he did die.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
once you get to
clueless
that
on
point
that
in
one
the
too, but
story,
yeah, that's
once you get to that point in the story, then you can't you can change it, but
yeah.
it wouldn't make sense to.
Then you got to
So,
make up something totally
but it's a
different.
great show. I love the show.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
So looking forward to season 3, sort of, because I know it's coming to an end.
It'll be good, and then it'll be over.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's good.
At least it's going to end properly. A lot of them just gone.
Yeah.
All right, Max is ending Bookie after, it just ended. Season 2 is done, so that is over. Did not end very well. It was a surprise that it was ending. Julia is about to air season 2, and that will be its last. So maybe it'll have an ending. And Our Flag Means Death is also going to air its season 2, and that will end as well. So I'm guessing those 2 series might actually end, but 2 seasons, Amazon is ending the Bosch Legacy after its 3rd season. So that's going to be airing soon. So, anything you like yet, or do you not know any of them?
I don't know any of them. Nope, I'm clueless on most of it.
Okay, Stars ending Hightown after season 3 airs. Apple is ending. It canceled Mythic Quest after 4 seasons, and another show I like, Silo, is going to air its final season. For season 4. Great show. I suggest it to anybody.
So Becky just started Fringe. I don't know what Fringe is either.
Oh, Fringe? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. She just commented that.
Fringe is awesome. Love that show. It's a little older. That's when Fox first started.
Oh, maybe that's. So maybe I have seen that then. If it's an older one, then that's because I was thinking of that. Yeah. The one that broke my heart was the Expanse series. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that one?
I was actually going to start watching that one. I saw the first 2 episodes.
It was so good, and I was so heartbroken, and it came to an end kind of, but I think they could have gone on, which I don't know. That's hard because do you go out on a high note? Yeah, do you go out on a high note when you kind of wrap it up and end things, or do you try to make it up, because a lot of those end up bad when we can continue on, and it gets worse and worse, unfortunately. But
so Tony joined us. He says he loves us guys. See, there we go.
Awesome. Yeah, Tony's awesome. Really,
Thank
really
you,
like
Tony.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden my chat just went. Pfft.
Oh.
So I do not see the chat anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've still got the so Becky said Fringe is from 2008. So I'm sure that I've seen that. I don't remember if I saw the whole thing or not.
Great show. Love that show. That was so
yeah.
good. All right, what else is going on? Orphan Black Echoes season 1 done. AMC canceled it after 1 season. Um, FX canceled The Old Man after season 2, and What We Do in the Shadows. That is on season 6 is going to air. I watched the first season of that. It was all right. It just didn't hold my interest, but it was
Uh-huh.
an all right show. I mean, eventually I'll watch the rest of it. Eventually, there's just so much to watch. Can't
Yeah.
get to it,
Yeah.
And it's like I've been watching Criminal Minds. I'm up to season
Oh.
5 right now. I'm
Mhm.
like mid season 5. There's like, I don't know, 13, 14 seasons of this. It's going to take
Mm.
me forever to get through it.
Mhm.
It's going to take forever. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So some of these shows I don't have to bother, because if they're getting canceled without a finale, there's no way I'm watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So
just leads to disappointment, and we don't want that.
I went through that with a show called Zoo. Great show. Loved it. So it was
Oh.
about animals taking
Uh-huh.
over, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
this show was so good, and it ended so bad
Oh.
on a cliffhanger. And it's like, why can't you just do one more episode and tie it
Mhm.
up? No,
Mhm.
nope, they didn't even do that. They just left it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding. What a waste of a great series.
There was so I watched Upload. Did you see that one?
No, but it's on my list of canceled
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
for
that was,
Prime.
oh, I was so disappointed because I got all invested. And I don't remember if they had 1 or 2 seasons, but it
Well,
was it was really good. And lots of conspiracy in that one, and so disappointed.
now they're saying that season 4 is to be aired, and
Oh.
that is the last season. So I'm thinking it's going to end okay. If it
Oh.
hasn't come out,
Yeah, because I haven't been back to look. I've been crying silently in the corner, that they didn't have another. But that'd be great if they finished it off, because it was really
yeah,
good.
I think it might be, because season 4 says that it is to be aired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing it's going to, end. Um, Now there's some big ones
Mm.
for Prime. Outer Range, which I watched the first season, and it's been like 3 years
Oh.
since that first season came out.
Uh-huh.
3 years.
Yeah.
They're going to air season 2,
Okay.
and
I
that's
thought
it.
maybe I watched maybe an episode maybe of that. I don't remember. But but yeah. Yeah, Mr.
It's about
Robot
this big
was
hole
another.
in the ground,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people go into it and they never come back.
Oh. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like a time warp or something like that.
Got it. Did you watch Mr. Robot?
No, I did not.
Oh, that one. That one was really good.
Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, no,
Um,
no. I've heard
yeah,
the show.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
on my
That-
program, I have like a million shows that I need to watch, and it's one of those on that list that I need to watch it, and I just haven't gotten to it.
I think my biggest disappointment is because most of the, YouTube or anything else that I watch, I turn it up to 2 speed, or higher if they'll let me. And I can't watch shows really that way, most of them anyway. So then it takes the amount of time that it takes to watch them, which,
Right. This is what I'm saying about Criminal Minds. It's like, why did I start this?
yeah.
Because now I'm invested. I'm 5 seasons into it. I have to see it out,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
going to
even
take
with the
forever.
awful ones, I've watched some of those. And I'm like, oh, I gotta make it through this because I gotta know what happens. I mean, it's not very good, but
Yeah.
but I don't have anything else to watch right now. So.
Yeah. So, it's like I did the House binge.
Mm.
So I watched all of the seasons of House, and that one was really good. That's a really great show.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
watched
I
some
like
of
the way they ended it too, because, I
them.
mean, let's face it, Seinfeld didn't exactly end very well.
Mm.
As great as that was, the ending was horrible. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to give anything away, but I'm just saying, you might want to skip that last one.
Ooh.
So, also, Crime scrapped The Boys. They are going to air their final season, season 5.
I think I watched a little bit of that and was not into
I
it.
watched the first 2 seasons and then it started out great. The first season was awesome.
Mm.
And then you start seeing the second season and it's just it's the same thing over
Mhm.
and over again.
Mm.
And then I didn't watch the rest of it.
They ran out of
Um
ideas.
I think so. They also got rid of Clean Slate after 1 season.
Mm.
Cruel Intentions after 1 season. Harlem is going to air season 3 to be the last one. My Lady Jane after 1 season. So Prime has scrapped a whole bunch.
Hmm.
And not to be outdone, Netflix says, well, we're going to do the same thing. So they got rid of Avatar: The Last Airbender after season 3 was their last. It will air in 2026. See, the problem I have with all this, it's
Mhm.
great that you're canceling the shows and they're not getting enough views.
Mhm.
But what happens if 2026 comes and everybody decides to watch Avatar, The Last Airbender? Do you
They
still
get all the
cancel it?
views. Yeah, they get all the views, and then I mean, can we just start? Let's start ending them when they suck, and they
Right.
shouldn't be continued, rather than ending them because of whatever else. But of
Yeah.
course they're looking at the dollars for sure.
Of course. They also canceled Big Mouth, season 8 to be aired. Chaos after 1 season. Outer Banks, season 5 is going to be aired. And that is the last. The Recruit got canceled after 2 seasons.
Mm,
Those poor people did not get to see a good ending.
mm.
The Upshores will air its final season, season 4. And The Witcher will air its last season, season 5. And some show called You
Hmm.
is going to air its last season, which is season 5. Looking at Bel Air, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air
Mhm.
remake
Yep.
that is more
Oh.
dramatic.
Well, of course. I mean, it has to be. It's 2025. I mean, it's got to be more dramatic.
Yeah, so it's a little more hardcore than the original.
Hmm.
Season 4, which will be its last, is going to be coming out pretty soon. There's a lot of them that don't matter. HBO canceling House of the Dragon.
Oh,
Season 4 will be its last.
huh. I
Big
don't think I've seen.
surprise there.
Yeah, I don't think
And
I've
the
seen that
Righteous
one. It sounds
Gemstones as
familiar.
well.
Wait, what was the other one?
The Righteous Gemstones
Hmm.
will end on season 4 to be aired.
Hmm.
There was a lot of speculation that Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, was going to end. It did not. It got renewed
Mm-hmm.
for a 3rd season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one I watched and really
So
so good,
good.
so
It's
good.
so
Yes,
good.
yes,
Yeah. That's got to be one of the better shows on TV. I
yeah,
really truly believe it. I love how they
yeah.
tie in, a lot of the characters that we do know when they were younger, of course.
Yep.
And just the the trickle down effect on how
Mm,
it's going to end and how it
mm-hmm.
gets to that point. I love what they're doing. I think it's been spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Spectacular show. So
Mm.
I'm glad that got picked up for another
Yeah.
season. Um, yeah, so that's
Did you?
that.
So Wheel of Time was not.
Wheel of
Um,
Time get canceled.
it did. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I like that show too
Oh,
as well.
that one was good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and we're not going to get an ending to it
Oh, yep. Of course, of course.
because I watched the first 2 seasons and that's when I found out it was over because I hadn't seen season 3 yet, and it had
Mm.
already aired, and I was gonna start that and then canceled, and there's
Mm.
no point in watching season 3 now.
I think I'm still gonna have to. I'll go for the heartbeat. I gotta go finish
Exactly.
what there is. That's
Exactly, right? So it's like, and now I started watching Duster with
huh.
Josh Holloway, who was in
Hmm.
Lost, and also Colony. So I'm watching actually Colony and Duster at the same time,
Oh.
and yeah, I keep tabs on the Lost alumni,
Mm.
and I try to watch their stuff
Hmm.
because Lost is probably my favorite show ever.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't think I watched that either.
You need to watch Lost. You need to watch it.
I'm out of the loop on so many things.
so so that's the TV cancellations. Hopefully you're and I forgot to mention the little boy over down by your corner over there of the screen.
Oh yes.
Um yeah, young Sheldon done. This
Oh,
coming
done.
season will be the last.
Mm.
So those of you that are comedy, not only did you lose the neighborhood, you also lose young Sheldon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
joy
it's
oh
a
joy.
rough deal. That's I look at this also. These are what we call first world problems. Um,
Yeah. You're right. It is. It is. This is
it's
why
still it's still a problem.
This is
It's
why
just
I go and watch Stargate every year. Every year I'll
oh
watch Stargate. And I'll
yeah,
just keep recycling over and
yeah,
over and over. This is why I
yeah,
watch Lost. This is why I watch The
yeah.
Walking Dead, because you know the endings. So you go back and you watch them again, knowing the
Hmm.
endings. They're good shows. You
Hmm.
know, I have no problem with that.
Hmm.
I don't want any more heartbreak. I don't
So
want.
so now I have to ask because you didn't include any in there. Are you a Trekkie at all? Did you
Oh, I
see any
forgot
of
to
the?
tell you that one.
Yeah,
Star
that's
Trek Strange New Worlds will end after season 5. So that's
that one
coming
was.
to an end.
Oh, that's. I mean, hopefully they end well.
It's going
Um,
to end okay. So I'm going to start watching that one. I'm afraid to start new shows,
yeah,
and get invested and then have
but
them pull the rug out from under me.
I think Discovery. I think that was the other, but I can't remember if that one. I don't know.
Yeah,
I get it mixed up
I
in my
don't
head.
know that. I don't know if that's ending or not.
Yeah,
I'd have to check on that one.
yeah, yeah. I threw some wrenches in your process here.
Yeah, because
Good.
the Discovery had the one from Walking Dead. she was in that. At
Oh,
least the first couple of seasons.
okay. Yeah, and I didn't ever watch The Walking Dead, so yeah, I know. I know. There's I mean we haven't had any hate and judgment in the comments yet, but they're like, who is this guy?
See, I don't see them. This is terrible. It stopped working for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean there's been no other comments. I'm thinking after the fact they're going to come in and roast me. Hey, what's the deal here? Do you not watch any of this stuff? No, not
All
really.
right. It's time to wrap things up. So tomorrow, Becky will be here with JJ. And I'm just guessing at least one will be a conspiracy theory. So you might want to stick for that tomorrow. They're both wonderful. I have not done a show yet with JJ, which is hard to believe
Um,
because I mean I've been with just about everybody on the show.
mm,
You know, I can't believe that I haven't done a show with JJ yet. It just hasn't worked out for other
mm.
reasons because somebody might be missing that week, and then I have to fill in an extra day there. It's crazy, but eventually. Oh wait, I just started work. My chat just started working again. Um, Chakra _ power on Twitch. Go check out his games there. He likes turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing he's talking about the Ninja Turtles.
I'm thinking so, but I don't, and I don't know
Is
what
that still
there
on
is.
TV?
I no idea, no clue.
I know they had a new movie within the last year or so. I think it was
Yeah,
last year it came out.
yeah. I don't think I've seen that.
It was
Well,
an
I'm sure I
animated
haven't seen
movie.
that either. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right, Chakra, you're just in time for us to go. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Danny. Look, we had some people
Yeah.
commenting today. That is great. If you're watching the show post live, please throw the comments in. We'll talk about you next time.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for watching and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.